Hey, good day. This is Joe Van Cleve. Welcome to another episode of the Typewriter video series. Today I'd like to talk about alternatives to manual or electric typewriters that might give you similar kinds of functionality. One of the main alternatives to typewriters that many writers like to use because it gives them that similar kind of mechanical feel with non-distractive writing experience has been these Alphasmart products built by Renaissance Learning and designed originally as writing keyboard type instructional devices for classrooms. But writers discover these because they first of all have a great feeling keyboard. They're small, lightweight, have great battery life with LCD screen, and they have a built-in word processor that gives you this non-distractive portable writing experience. Unfortunately, the Alphasmart devices are no longer being manufactured, so you cannot buy one new, but you can buy them used on the internet. Now, at a later time, I'm going to cover the Alphasmart product itself. This is specifically the Neo, what I have. I'm going to cover it in much more greater detail, but for today, I'm going to talk about an alternative to the Alphasmart Neos that I have discovered that seems to work pretty good. So stay tuned. In order to understand a little bit better the context of the Alphasmart Neo and why people like them so much, I am going to have to describe a little bit about the device itself. It is lightweight, it is well built, it's sturdy, it has a nice mechanical feeling keyboard. It's not fully mechanical like an IBM Model M kind of key switch, but it's a very nice feeling keyboard, better than your standard little laptop computer keyboard. So on off, push the button and it powers up and it goes right into wherever you were last writing at the time that you used it. It is strictly a text editor. It's just a simple text file. You can just push one of these file keys, or like function keys, and you can get into whatever. You can have 8 files simultaneously going on in these 8 buttons, but you can also have other files in memory that you name with an actual name. You save it with a name, and you can pull it up and open it up. It has a USB port that connects to a computer. The operating system of the Alphasmart Neo is really based on the Palm operating system. Remember Palm Pilots, Palm OS? Behind the scenes, it is based on Palm. As such, it's not directly compatible with Windows and Apple computers in the sense of it. When you plug it into your computer, your computer won't see this as a flash drive, and you won't be able to immediately get all the files. There is a software that you install on your computer from Renaissance Learning that enables you, it's called Alphasmart Manager, it enables you to then look at the file structure, upload and exchange files. But there's an easier way to transfer text from the Alphasmart to a program on your computer, which is on your computer you simply open up the text box, whether it's an internet dialog box or a word processing app or whatever, and you have the document opened up in your Alphasmart connected by USB cable, and all you do is hit the send key. And the send key simply sends it letter by letter, like really fast typing, right into the document that you were using. So if it's a very short document, it's a real quick and easy way to exchange text. So the thing about the Alphasmarts is the Alphasmart Neo, there was a Neo 2, there was earlier versions of the Alphasmart, but it's powered by 3 AA batteries, and they last about a year or two. That's right, a year or two. They say 700 hours of actual use. And the thing about it is very lightweight, portable, and a great feeling keyboard, and it's non-distractive writing, meaning that you don't have the internet, you don't have text messages, games, apps, and all that to distract you from the writing process. Okay, so I was interested in finding an alternative to the Alphasmart because they aren't being made anymore. And one of the key factors that I was looking at was the quality of the keyboard. It has to have a really good feeling keyboard, and it has to be able to import text into a simple text editor-like device and enable you to have some kind of connectivity between the document that you're working on in the text editor and being able to do something with it, put it somewhere else. And in the Yahoo Groups there is a Alphasmart group discussion forum basically on the Yahoo. And it's been there for years. And there's been a lot of alternatives that the members of that group have looked at, like ways of taking the Alphasmart and connecting it via the USB cable to iPads and other kinds of tablets. And the problem is the Alphasmart is a great keyboard by itself, but it doesn't easily connect to all tablets because you have to have the right kind of USB adapter dongle. Like for instance on the iPads, you have to have a certain kind of a powered USB adapter in order for the Alphasmart to work with an iPad. So that was always the problem, was if you wanted the feel of the Alphasmart keyboard, that wonderful feel, but you wanted to use it with another device as the actual word processing application, it was problematic. So I discovered an alternative. Let's talk about that. Now, for a few years, my main internet surfing device at home and my main tool for video editing has been an old iPad 2. The iPad 2, remember that thing came out about 4 or 5 years ago? It was the first iPad with, they had a camera, I could edit video and all that stuff. Well, I've been using this thing for years with iMovie. And up until recently, it's been okay, but I've noticed because of the older operating system, it is a lot slower, and the version of iMovie in this old iPad is kind of limited somewhat. And so recently, I was interested in finding an iOS device that was a little newer without going to the expense of buying an actual iPad, because I happen to be a flip phone guy and I pay $15 a month for a flip phone and 300 minutes, and it's cheap. So I didn't want an iPhone, but I wanted something smaller that I could use as a digital camera and also that had a newer version of iOS and iMovie. And I discovered the Ipod Touch. This is almost the latest version. I think this fall of 2016 they released a newer one, but this is fairly modern. And it has a modern version of iMovie in it, and it has a great little camera. I'm using a clear plastic case for it, so it kind of protects it, but it still gives it the original Apple look to it. But anyways, so I have this little Ipod Touch. Now, all my movies, all these YouTube videos you guys have been watching, they've all been edited in this. This is my editing platform, and you simply plug the little cable in from your big digital camera like the GH3 that we're shooting with now, the Panasonic, whatever the source of video is, or shoot the video right on the iPod, and you edit everything in the iMovie and you upload it. But I was, last week, I was on this kick. You know how when you're on the internet and you start to get interested in something and you start to fixate on it and you start searching and searching and reading and 10 hours go by and you visited 100 websites about the same subject. Well, I kind of got fixated last week or the week before about manual computer keyboards, custom-made computer keyboards with manual switches like cherry switches and all this stuff. Anyways, so it led me to going through a bunch of websites, and I discovered a discussion forum thread somewhere where it talked about plugging a standard computer keyboard into an iPad or iOS device with the standard USB adapter. And I got to thinking, I wonder if that would work with my two iOS devices, my new Ipod Touch and my older iPad. I was wondering, I have this recent desktop computer keyboard, this HP keyboard I haven't been using, and I wanted to see if it would work. So let's see if it works. Okay, so let's start by looking at my old iPad here. So here's the iPad, and if you guys remember the old iPads, it had this big fat white thing called a camera connection adapter. Remember when the iPads first came out and everybody said, you can't hook a USB cable up to an iPad? Of course, the iPad came with the camera connection connector, which enabled you to actually do that very same thing. So what you do is you take your USB adapter, whether it's a new style iPad with a little skinny adapter or this older style one, and then what you do is you take your desktop keyboard. It could be a mechanical, cherry switch, fancy gaming keyboard. It could be just one of these standard ones. This happens to be just an HP keyboard. It's not a true mechanical keyboard, but it is a little bit more than just a membrane rubber keyboard thingy. And this is a standard keyboard with a standard USB cable. And what you do with your iOS device here is you simply plug your keyboard into the iOS device, right? So now I have keyboard iOS device plugged in. Now, you may see a little message that says, in this case, HP Basic USB Keyboard. The connected device is not supported. That's what it says. It says it's not supported. I hit OK. Well then, let's go to a word processing app. Like I have one called IA Writer. IA Writer is a pretty good word processing app. And so now on IA Writer, I'm going to hit the keyboard and hey, look at that. It writes. And why does it write? Why does it write when the Apple device says it's not compatible with the keyboard? What's that all about? It still seems to work. Well, I think what it is what they mean is that some of the functions of the keyboard, like your Alt keys and your num lock function and all that, you may not be able to get full functionality. But it actually happens to be that your number pad works. If you have one of these with the 10 keypad off to the right, your number pad still works. You just can't switch it to the alternative navigation mode. But nevertheless, the keyboard works. So what you have is an iOS device which has the simple Notes app that comes with it. It also has, if you buy the newer one like my Ipod Touch, it comes with already with the Apple Pages software, right? Already comes with it. So you can also buy another external app like IA Writer or another word processing app. But anyway, so you have this combination of iOS device and really full functional mechanical keyboard that's every bit as nice as an Alphasmart Neo keyboard, and it works fantastic. Now let's look at doing the same thing, not with the iPad, the full-size iPad. Let's take off the old style camera connection kit and let's get the newer style one, the one that goes from USB to the newer style, whatever Apple calls their little thing. And now let's plug it into the little iPod Touch. Okay, we plug it into the iPod Touch. I'm going to open up just the Notes app on this little guy, and I'm going to start a new Note app, a new notepad, and now look at that. It's typing. So now look at this. Now this is obviously a full-size keyboard. This is really bigger than the kind of a keyboard you might want for portable use, but look at that. I have a full-size mechanical quality keyboard plugged into a small Ipod Touch iOS device. This right here is about as close as you can get to an Alphasmart product right now, and it's going to give you the wonderful feel of a mechanical type keyboard. And you could go out and buy like a WASD Joker 3, whatever, real mechanical keyboard with cherry MX blue or brown, clear, or whatever style of color switches you like. But you could take that little keyboard, you could buy the little small size keyboard, the 61 key or the 82 key or the full size one like this. You use it with a little iPod Touch, or if you already have an iPhone, if you're an iPhone user, hey, you already have your device. You use the USB dongle and connect a wired keyboard. Remember, wired old-fashioned keyboard to the device, and you have equivalent to an Alphasmart device. You can use the Notes app that's built in, or you can buy IA Writer or any other kind of word processor. The great thing about it is, if you're an iOS user, you also have the option of uploading or backing up your documents to the iCloud Apple's iCloud, or you can simply do whatever you want to do. Use Google Docs or whatever through your device. This is a Wi-Fi only little iOS device, but through Wi-Fi I can do stuff with these documents. I can transport them to my desktop computer, my laptop computer, whatever I want to do. So this becomes truly a portable device. Now here's another cool thing. You might say, oh, using a wired keyboard is kind of old-fashioned and primitive because Apple makes these fancy Bluetooth keyboards, right? And there's third-party manufacturers that make Bluetooth keyboards that work with iOS devices. Yeah, but the thing is, a little Ipod Touch, it's a really small device, okay? And the batteries are really small. And it's not as good with battery life as an iPhone, or certainly not as good as a big iPad. But with a wired keyboard, you're not using Bluetooth. You keep Bluetooth turned off, it's not going to suck your batteries down. You leave the thing in airplane mode because you're just going to be writing non-distractively without using the internet, no internet, nothing of that. So this becomes equivalent to an Alphasmart Neo. Mechanical style keyboard, wired into your little iOS device like an Ipod Touch. This is a 32 gig version, and they're fairly inexpensive. They're about a third of the price of an iPhone probably, right? Anyway, that's my suggestion for today. Get yourself a little nice, cool, not like this. This is just an HP full-size desktop keyboard. But get yourself a really cool mechanical style small keyboard, wired, and get your iOS device and plug it in, and you have the equivalent of Alphasmart Neo. So there you go. That's my writing tip for today. Make yourself the equivalent of an Alphasmart Neo with an old desktop computer keyboard. This is Joe Van Cleve. Have a great day.